Buenas noches a todos, aquí con el nuevo episodio de Innova Realty, el podcast, con una nueva invitada. Su nombre es Corin Lopez. Corin, y como ya saben todos, con Daniel Pineda, el productor. ¿Cuál es tu nickname otra vez? Daniel Pineda. Ok, después hablamos el nickname. Buenas noches, Corin, ¿cómo estás?
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches. A ver, Corin, dinos que ahora vamos a hablar de bienes y raíces y algo muy importante de taxas. Corin es una especialista, una experta en taxas y nos va a contestar unas preguntas, nos va a contar unos tricks to the trade. Okay. Corin, dinos un poquito tu nombre, dinos background, qué haces.
Bueno, tengo más de 15 años de experiencia en taxas. Yo fui a la universidad, tengo mi bachelor's in accounting. I worked in the corporate environment for over 15 years in taxes, in different parts of accounting, fund accounting, grant accounting, anything that really has to do with accounting, public accounting.
Everything accounting.
Everything accounting background and numbers and anything that has to do with money.
And how long have you been doing taxes?
I have been doing taxes since before I had kids. So
the oldest is 15, 16?
No. 17 tomorrow,
17 tomorrow, so close to 18 years. Perfect. So that's why you're an expert in taxes. So what can you tell us about any experiences that you had with clients? Anything you want to talk to us about before we start asking some of the questions that we have ready for you?
I mean, I can go on and on about experiences, but I think that the important thing that I do want to tell everybody who's listening is there is obviously a difference between W-2 employees and self-employed or contract labor employees. Self-contractors or laborers that receive a 1099 miscellaneous or NEC, that's the new form. 1099 self-employed people or small businesses, they can take all the deductions that they use in order for their business, right? But employees who actually are employed by a company and receive a W-2, they cannot take deductions the way the 1099.
So it makes a difference to have your own business and actually working for someone.
Exactly.
Can you give us some examples of what things someone that has a 1099 can actually use as deductions?
So it depends what type of job they do. I'm gonna say, for example, like, us as realtors or people who use a car, you can deduct mileage or gas expenses. But people who use advertising through Facebook, advertising through Yelp, advertising through the Google pages, any advertising t-shirts, that's considered advertising. If you buy caps, If you buy pins and you give out pins,
anything that helps with marketing, we can deduct it.
Anything that helps you market yourself and advertise yourself can be deducted.
What about tools, like equipment, tools?
If you get tools or equipment are used for your work, for example, if you're a plumber, right, and that's what you do is you use tools. If you're an electrician, and like I said,
depending on your job, that's what you can
everybody's
deduct.
job is different. I will say, like for example, I have a client. Now with YouTubers and OnlyFans, I mean, we might as well touch the subject. Some of those can deduct eyelashes or nails or even, different things, right? Mm-hmm. That if I got my nails, I can't deduct because that's not part of my being my trade. There's different deductions that different people can take. We have to be able to prove that helps you in your business. So, somebody who does makeup tutorials on YouTube and they make money, they can deduct the makeup cost. But, I can't. It just depends, right? What it is that you do for a living and where those expenses are going to be placed. If you are a small business and you have somebody who does some contract work for you, right? Giving them a 1099, yourself to them, that's contract labor, you can write that off as well. If you have an office, if you rent an office, office equipment, supplies, any repairs that you make, if that office is yours, there's a lot of different expenses that you can take. If you're a plumber and you use boots, right, and those are your work boots, you can deduct those, right? So just different deductions.
And for example, I mean, if I was actually a plumber and wanted to get those boots, all I have to provide is the receipt?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So I will say that receipts are very important, and we will
I'm really bad at that.
We will touch base on that a little bit, throughout the.
So you being a tax professional, mm-hmm. what can you tell, or what are the benefits of using someone with your expertise versus buying the softwares out there?
So we're available throughout the year. I will say that. There's times that I've had, clients come back, hey, I'm getting obviously ready to buy a house, or I'm gonna refinance. Can you give me, they can get those from the forms as well, from the softwares, but there's deductions that we know that maybe you don't know as you're doing, the software, or some softwares, they only go up to a certain amount of deductions depending on which ones you buy, and sometimes you don't know which one you should get. So there are some deductions that as a tax preparer we know we can get, we can help you with, we can guide you, and
so with all these years of experience that you have doing taxes, is there any often overlooked deductions that you can kind of tell us about that we might be missing, and you're like, a lot of people don't think about this?
I don't want to say that maybe a deduction, but I will say one of the credits, which is when your student or your child is in college. A lot of people are not aware that they can take that credit using the 1098-T form that the college students take. I see a lot of parents just not even know that that's there.
That was me. I never used it.
And it gives you a good credit.
So a credit for paying my kids' tuition on books.
Sometimes some are going for nursing school and they have to buy white scrubs. Everything that you're learning is different. So are you buying a TI-83 calculator, and that's part of your for your classes. So just different things that you can actually, a laptop, a iPad.
Does that count? Does that count for? Is it just for college, or can I use that on my kids from high school?
No, just your college, because you need to provide the 1098-T form that the universities and colleges provide.
Gotcha.
That's one of the credits, and then I see a lot of teachers not take the teacher educator credit. So if you're aware, and obviously from having children, teachers put in a lot of money into their classrooms,
I'm sure,
right? I mean,
yeah.
it doesn't come from the actual school, right? Every time that they have, school starting, they decorate their classrooms, and there's different things. So teachers put in pencils, markers, something, all of that.
Just decorate the whole classroom.
So there is a teacher an educator credit that they can take, that a lot of them, don't know is out there.
So you see me doing my taxes, right? And I'm so unorganized. So I'm putting everything together in January, February of each year,
or asking for an extension.
And still go over the time.
Let's talk about the deadlines. When is the period so you can submit it?
So I don't have my phone, but it is usually April 15th, depending what day that lands on. I should be,
And then if with the extension is until October or something.
October the 15th.
We'll put that on the notes so they can see the actual exact dates.
So this is another thing that people sometimes are not, aware of. April 15th is the last day, for you to do taxes if you owe money, right? And that's when you ask for an extension. You can technically do your taxes throughout, the year, but it's those that are going to owe or have to pay back that need to submit an extension. And then you have until October, but you need to.
So what happens if I get an extension for October, but I still don't do it until
you do
December?
Get penalties
for not doing it on time? Mm-hmm. So what I was gonna ask, is there anything that you recommend your clients to be ready? Like someone like me, what should I do? I have my own business, I have my real estate office. How can I be ready by the date where I need to do my taxes and don't, do everything behind and late?
I think that for anybody who has a small business or takes the itemized deductions and not the standard deductions, itemized is what a lot of people know as the long form, and that's where you take, all the deductions. I would really say to get your receipts together every month. Dedicate the last Friday of the month, the last, whatever of the month, and get all your receipts for
ready.
January. I also, tell my clients, make copies of your receipts, right? Because you never know if you get audited. Those receipts, we all know that the numbers fade, and once you have a copy of it,
So you will need those receipts only if you get audited?
Yes.
Is there any red flags that you can say, like, hey, be careful with this or be careful with that the IRS can? I understand they have a system, right, where you as a taxpayer, you put your information in there, like your taxpayer's information, and then a system runs numbers, or I don't know exactly what it is. I'm not the expert here, but they can see some things where it gives them red flags.
I tell, and I will tell everybody, as a business person, obviously you don't want to take losses, especially year after year. At some point in time, you started a business to make money, right? It's not because you wanted to lose money every single year.
Exactly.
So the IRS is going to catch on to you, like, why are we in year 5 of a business and you're still taking a loss? Why are you still doing this business? So, or don't, you don't, there's, what was the point in opening up this business if you're going to take a loss year after year? So that is one thing that I know people, and I'm gonna tread lightly, right? But you don't want to take a loss on a business every single year, because
That's
the
a huge red
IRS
flag
is
then.
going to be like, why are you taking a loss again? We're in year 4, right?
Is
What's
that going to
going
get you
on?
audited right away then?
I would say that it is one of those things that is a red flag, because why are you in business then? How are your doors still open? Or why are you still running this? I mean, it's a no-brainer. You don't do this.
And then those receipts for business owners, do they have to keep them secure, digitized?
Yes.
How should they keep them just to be safe?
I mean, it depends on how they run their business, right? I definitely say for you to try and keep something on what we call a cloud, right? Keep it online. But
Somewhere
even
safe.
that is not safe. But a filing cabinet, if you can keep both, that would be perfect.
So my method, having it on a
should
Ziploc
keep,
bag, is
like-
not a good one.
No.
How many people show up with that Ziploc bag to your office?
On a shoebox.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I had somebody show up like with HEB bags or
Oh,
something
yeah.
and receipts. I'm like, oh my
HEB, when
gosh.
they sponsors.
Yes, we do.
I'm like, what is this? So I will say this also. As a tax preparer, and I'm sure that my fellow tax preparers will, be on board when I say we do charge probably more for those people who come in
Unorganized.
with, and we have to figure out how much it was for advertising for you and how much it was for contract labor for you. I mean, if you walk in with those numbers and you have the proof already, that's less work for me. The more work that you give me, the more that the more work you give, the more that you're gonna
You get charged. So if someone wants to it's tax season right now. If somebody wants to get a hold of you so you can help them, where can they call you and
Of
get
course,
a hold of
you can call or text me at 832-951-7300.
832-951-7300 for my Spanish speakers. 832-951-7300. Ella habla español,
Sí.
pero es un poco penosa en español, no sé por qué, pero
I
sí.
have a question from one of my cousins.
A ver,
Does that make sense?
ver.
My question is, you spoke about the...
te va a cobrar.
I know. That's why I'm doing it right now. Like, que no me cobre. You spoke about the fact that you have the 1099s and the W-2s. What if you have an actual full-time job, and then on the side you do a job? How does that make it better? Does that make it worse? Is that more complicated?
A
for
side
you?
business or side job?
Side business.
So
Or
I do have many clients that have a full-time job and do have a small business, such as making shirts or cups or everybody does
Yes.
things on the side. Everybody's trying to have a hustle, like they say. So that would be considered, you're going to just go ahead and do what's the long form, right, and go through your deductions. I will always tell you which, what's going to be better. Are we just better, going off this way or that way? It depends. How much money are you making from that small business? But yes, you always want to put that into your taxes. People have rentals. That's also income, right? So you always want to add that to your tax return, especially when you're trying to buy a house. Remember, the more income that you have on your tax return,
The easier will be to qualify
And
for.
you get the same benefits as if you had your own business and you were...
Correct.
Okay.
So if I have a side job,
especially because you have expenses. Just because you have a full-time job doesn't mean that you're
You're not investing in
you're
your
not
business.
correct investing in your business. Most people, that's how they start off. They have a full-time job trying to figure out how to
So they
not
can-
have to work
so
for
they can
somebody
leave, yes,
else.
yes.
So you have expenses over here. Of course, your first year, and just like we all know, your first year, you usually do take a lot of expenses. There's always more of a, for the most part, unless you were really lucky and, you know, you didn't have to invest anything into your startup business. You know, usually the first year is a loss. I mean, you have to invest a lot. You know, as real estate, we did classes, we did licensing tests, we did a background check, we did fingerprints, we did signs, we did advertising.
We spend a lot.
Not for free? I thought it was all
I
free.
wish. So for all my 7 subscribers, if you have any questions, you can put them on the chat. We will answer those. Please, 7. So let's say I have a side gig or side business. You know, I get paid cash. Do I need to tell the IRS that? Do I need to put that on my taxes? Yes.
The answer is yes.
I know someone.
You know,
I know somebody wanted to ask.
Whenever I took my tax class in college, my tax professor said, even drug dealers do
Taxes.
Wow.
They still have to buy a house and qualify. So
Good way
I
of
mean,
explaining it.
it's just,
Life.
I mean, strippers, they do taxes. I mean, like I said, OnlyFans, they do taxes. So, yes.
everybody has to do
Everybody.
taxes, no
I
matter
have
how
a
you get
question.
money.
On the W2.
On your OnlyFans or?
No, not yet. I need
Yeah.
to be more famous. So make this.
Well, we
podcast-
have 8 now,
I
so
know, we
we're
need
getting
more
there.
people. On the 10 W2. I'm sorry. When you have a full-time job, when you're planning to buy a home, what is better, to do it jointly or not doing jointly? What is from a realtor perspective and also from a tax expert?
So, I'm gonna have to tell you that question honestly is more for your lender than it's going to be for the tax preparer, than it is going to be for the realtor. And because on the lending side, they're gonna look at your credit, your spouse's credit. It's more than just your tax return, right? So I wish that the answer was just black and white, and I would tell you need to do
Everybody's
it
different.
together,
Yes.
right? But every case is different. Now, the answer as a tax preparer, if you are legally married on the last day of the year, if say your wedding is December 30th, December 31st, you are supposed to file a tax return jointly the next year. Okay, so as a tax preparer, the question is to you: are you legally married in the state of Texas on the last day of 2023? If your answer is yes, then you
it has
should
to
be
be.
doing it jointly.
Even if it's the last day.
Correct.
Wow, I thought he had
So it's like the other, it's like another question, right?
But-
Somebody asked me not too long ago, well, my baby was born in October, so, I mean, can I claim them? Yeah, I mean, your baby was born in 2023. You can claim them. Even if they were born on December 30th, you can put them on your taxes.
Now you said Texas. So does this change on a state basis?
It does,
Okay.
because different states, you can be legally separated, but in the state of Texas, if you're married, you have to do your taxes together.
And what if you're not married and you're like, in Texas they have common law?
I said legally married. The question is, are you legally married? Now,
But if they want, let's say they're not legally married, but they still want to do taxes together,
they
can they?
can.
So, anything else you want to add on that? Because I'm gonna move a little bit to something a little different.
I'm gonna tell you that I want to just touch a little bit on W-2 employees, because we talked a lot about 1099. I have this conversation with several clients as this tax season is going across, and we're doing it, the tax time. A lot of people don't understand that whenever they fill out the W-4 at work, which that's the one that tells you them, are you single, are you married, filing joint, or head of
Dependents.
household, how many dependents do you have? A lot of people don't understand why they fill it out, and they're just like, estoy solo, estoy soltero, 5 huercos or whatever. But then when they do their taxes, they're like, I'm not getting anything back. Why didn't I get anything back? Because you got all of that throughout the
Through the
year.
checks that you get.
Because of the way you filled out your W-4. The way you fill out your W-4, that is asking you, how are you going to do your taxes at the beginning of the year? So if you do your taxes head of household with 2 dependents under the age of 17, then that's how you need to fill out the W-4. Head of household, 2 dependents under the age of 17. You can always ask for extra deductions. I mean, if you want to get more at the beginning of the year, on that W-4, there's a line where it asks you, you want extra deductions? You could do $25, every time you get paid, or 50 or 100. I mean, plenty of people do that. And I just want you to, people to understand that is you lending the government money right throughout the year. That's why you get a tax return at the beginning.
So I hear a lot of people that they say, hey, I'm not putting any dependents, I'm
Yeah.
just putting singles so they can take more out of my check. But then at the end of the year, when they do their taxes, they actually put everybody that they have and they get more back.
Correct.
So that is true.
So that is true. And then there's some people who are actually single, right? And they put married with 5 dependents so that they can have all their money through the year, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it
yeah.
just,
And they're going to have to pay
and
at the end of
then,
the year.
it depends how it is, but, then they might have to pay back. So, I really just tell my clients a rule of thumb. This is just kind of a rule of thumb. From what you make, you have the box on your W-2, that's box number 1. Box number 2 should be at about 10% of what you made.
Okay.
It-
Is that
and
the
that's
amount they
based-
take out of your check?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So, and this is based, on the tax brackets, and every tax bracket is different, right? But 10% is for the,
That's what you recommend.
correct.
And now, does the employer allow you to make changes? To
Every employer is different.
So there were. Okay.
I talked to a client yesterday, and I was like, hey, you got a raise throughout the year. You need to change your W-4 because they didn't take out enough taxes. And she was like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't change the W-4 and blah, blah, blah. When she went in there, she saw it was, she had a child who has now over the age of 17. You don't get the same credit when they're under the age of 17.
Oh, okay.
So that needs to also change.
But is there a law that allows you as an employee to make sure that the actual employer?
I'm not aware of one.
Okay.
I'm not aware of one.
Yeah.
So-
Most employees have a web-based platform.
Correct.
so you
Now
can do
all of it.
online, so-
Now many
Most-
people use different,
Yeah.
work-based. Like
I
there's
know.
like Workday and Insperity, and there's different ones that I've seen, or heard from my clients of what they use. But yes, most of the time you can go on there and just make the change. If not, you have to go through your HR.
Now, when applying for a credit, so you can get that first home or second home, how would you encourage people to do it, so they can start applying for that loan? Do you want them to get to you so that they can actually, you can review their taxes and then think about options, or?
So when clients come to me, I always ask them, is there something that you're planning to do, right, throughout the year?
Mm-hmm.
I ask that question because are you planning on buying a house? We need to make sure that the way that you are filing, this is the way that you're going to present to the lender so that you could be approved. Many times we get clients who go through a lender, and I've had clients, obviously I don't do all of my buyers, taxes returns. I've had a client, we were almost getting ready to close, and her tax preparer actually had already given her credit of a home buyer. From my understanding, it was a MCC credit, right? Which you have to have a certificate number to get that credit. So she had to call the tax preparer and like, why did you take this credit for me if I'm not a home buyer? I'm not a home buyer yet. I'm trying to buy a home. And then the tax preparer had to amend it, and and then it took time. Then we had to extend the date of closing. So the way that you do your tax return is important. Very important. I've had another client. I mean, unfortunately, like I said, that was not my client as a tax, client, but my client as a buyer. Their transcript didn't match their tax returns that they submitted to the lender. Now, a transcript is what the IRS has on file that you submitted to them. So me as a tax preparer, I give you your papers when we're done, right? And it should match what the transcript has, what I sent to the IRS.
Because that's what the lender checks, right?
Correct. So when you first pass credit, right, then depends on what type of loan you're going to get, right? I want to say that first, right? Because not all loans ask you for your tax returns. But if they ask you for your tax returns, they're going to base how much you're going to get, like based off of your tax returns and your check stubs, and based off of those things. But when it goes into underwriting, that's where it went dead, because their income tax did not match their transcript. And we have to go based off of what's on the transcript, because that's what the IRS says that you told them that you made in those years. So whose fault was it and why they had different amounts, I could not tell you. But that is very important.
And those transcripts are actually modified based on what they have received. The IRS
transcripts is what the IRS gets from the tax preparer, correct?
So you go to someone that thinks they know how to do taxes, and they tell you you're going to get this amount, and all of a sudden you get a different amount on your check as a return. That transcript is going to show that amount. It's not going to show what the tax preparer is going to show you.
Correct. I just got a text. I got a call from somebody else, right? Hey, what is this form used for? And I'm like, okay, that's for an electric car, right? And then I'm like, what? Why? Like it's if you have an electric car, you can take the deduction, right? So because you're not polluting, and so they give you that credit, right? So I'm like, why? Oh, well, my husband's tax preparer, the IRS has changed the amount they're going to get back. Well, if he doesn't have a electric car, he shouldn't have taken that credit, right? I'm just, there's different things. I mean, I saw, there's a lot of credits that you can take, but if they're not doing it right,
you have to be careful how you put it.
Correct.
That's why you have to hire Corin or a professional. If you want to hire Corin to do your taxes, her number is 832-951-7300, 832-951-7300. Y Daniel, ¿tenemos una pregunta?
Sí, Rolando GC is asking us a question. He's telling us this is great information, but for a small business, what is the minimum amount that a contract worker needs to make so they're required to be given a 1099 form?
I'm gonna go based off the top of my head, right? But I believe it is $600. And there is a new law now, and I don't want to really go too much into laws, right? Because they change all the time. But if you are a business, and you have to give at least 10 either 1099s or W-2s they need to be electronically filed. That means that you can't do the handwritten one paper and, you know, give it to somebody. So it's always better anyways to electronically file them. I do them. Any small business who wants.
I think if you have a small business, it's better to have an accountant and have someone to do your taxes to do them right.
Correct. So you're always better off. I mean, things get lost in the mail all the time. So if you electronically file them, the IRS gets them right away. And I feel also you look more professional, right? As a small business, it looks like you have your shit together, right? And you're giving them one, you know, that looks professional and not one that you wrote out, you know, by hand.
So there's another question by the same guy. Example.
So now I'm gonna charge you.
I'll send them the bill. I know who he is. So the question is, if we had 50 contractors that were paid $300 each by check through the whole year, so they made $300 each for the whole year. Do they need to report that as them getting paid that, or are their income?
Say that again. 50?
So they have 50 contractors that were paid $300 each by check through the whole year. Do we need to report this, or it will just be reported as our income, their income, as the company's income? Or do they need to do?
So already, just because they told me 50, they already needed to have electronically filed because they already needed to give out.
So even though it was 300 and not the 600?
Well, the number is if you have 10 contract employees.
So the answer is yes, they had to do it. Mm-hmm. Rolando GC?
I think I know why he's asking that question. You and I used
Send me my 1099.
You and I used to do that when we were younger.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the answer is yes.
Why? Is that something you can share on the line?
Yes. We used to
We
ref.
think that's what it is.
We think that's what it is. We're assuming. But we used to ref in Little Leagues.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't get paid a lot, but you do get checks.
But don't you get paid like every game, like $75?
It depends. It depends on again, like
so
every
is
employee.
it like $300 for the whole year? That is what
per contractor. Like me, I referee the whole year, and I only got 300 paid the whole year.
Yeah, and I get.
But that's 50 people.
Okay, so but if it's 50 people,
then you have. If it was less than 10, he don't have to.
No.
There he goes.
Rolando can correct us because he may need an appointment.
Yeah, he may need Rolando. Her number is 832-951-7300.
The other thing is, I'm gonna say this.
Say it.
As a small business, and when you're gonna give 1099s, you are supposed to give those and should be mailed and date stamped January 31. Do I have small businesses come to me
late
February 15th or yes.
Is there a penalty for them?
The IRS charges a little bit more, every time that,
Well, of course they charge y'all, but you pass it on, of course.
So, yes, that number of 10 just came into effect this year.
So that's gonna
and before it used, I don't have anything in front of me, but I believe the number before used to be 250.
Wow.
And that could be, it was a big difference. And that could be if you had 100, 1099s and 150 W-2s, right? But now it's just 10. It doesn't matter if you have over 10 that you need to do, they need to be e-filed.
No matter how much.
And now you have to understand why they came up with that, right? There's a lot of fraud, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, they want to be able to catch you before
it's the same concept about what's it called, transfers, electronic transfers, which is also considered income. So those are small business too. So I guess that also, it's also recorded for tax purposes.
Any other questions by
I do not.
our subscribers? Okay, so changing hats. Well, before we change hats, if you need Corin for taxes, 832-951-7300, 832-951-7300. See, if you have a 1099, if you have your own business, if you have W-2, you can help with all of that.
Yes.
There. So changing hats, Corin is also one of my agents here at Innova Realty. She's been doing also for a long time. So Corin, you want to tell us a little bit about you being an agent? How long have you been doing it? Give us, I'm guessing you need the same phone number to get a hold of you if anybody wants to buy or sell.
I actually have been an agent for a little over 5 years. Of course, my phone number is 832-951-7300. Investors, buyers, sellers. If you have any questions, where to start, how to get started, if you want to list your home, what you should do, or if you're trying to sell your home, if you're trying to buy your first home or your first rental, go ahead, feel free to give me a call.
Perfect. So now, us as realtors, going back to taxes and real estate now, what are some of the things as a real estate agent that we can actually deduct? Like you said, I know it depends on. Now I'm just trying to help our fellow agents now. We're not talking about plumbers. We're not talking about anybody.
I'm gonna charge you guys in the office.
It's fine. Just send me the bill.
So, if you go to Starbucks with a client, right? You're gonna talk to them about an offer you're gonna put in on the house, or you can deduct the Starbucks. If you go have a meal with a client who just finished buying their home and you're gonna celebrate at a restaurant, you can write off the meal. Supplies.
Mileage?
Of course, mileage.
What about clothes, shoes? What else can I say?
Advertisement.
So sometimes
Cleaners.
So sometimes that can be a very touchy when we're talking about clothes. For example, and I'm gonna ask you like I would ask a regular. That shirt that you're wearing, do you only wear it for business purposes or for personal as well?
So you're asking as a tax preparer? Yeah. I use it for business only.
Okay. So if I see you post a picture with your wife at dinner with that shirt, it is not.
My wife is an investor and we're talking about homes.
So it gets kind of, so there is obviously dress pants or slacks or shoes that you only wear, just some things. But the question really is, are you using that in your personal life as well as in your business life? Because the question is also, when you have a car, it also asks you, do you only use it for business or you have a personal one? Because that is one of the questions that is asked.
I know.
So that's by the IRS. The
IRS is the one that judges the answer. Right?
That is one of the questions when going through, the different softwares, different questions. One of them is on your mileage and on your car information, and it asks, are you keeping track of it? Like, how are you? Is it handwritten? For your mileage?
There's a lot of. I used to do everything handwritten. Now there's a lot of apps that you can just get and catch all your miles.
So what office space? There's a lot of brokers who will charge an agent, for the office space, and so you can write that off. What did you put into that office? The desk, the chair, there's different things, the correct supplies, pens, paper, notebooks.
Just to put it out there, we are the newest flat fee company here in Houston. So if you are with someone that is charging you for space, I'm not.
We don't charge.
So you can give me a call and we can talk.
No, and I have to say, from the outside and helping out, you have plenty of people with extreme knowledge, and it's a great team, so you should join it.
Yes, please just give us a call, 713-480-9581. That's to join Innova Realty. And if you want to buy and sell, it's 832-951-7300. Now, I do have some agents that they work a lot from home and they have their office at home. Is there any benefits or deductions that they can do from having a home office or because they work from home?
There is. They can write off that square footage that they use for office space. So let's say you're using a bedroom, and I mean, since we're realtors, we know usually they're a 10 by 10 or the smaller ones, and usually that's the one that they're using as their office. So you can write off the square footage, and it's per square footage of what you can write off.
What about the internet? Because I use the internet at home. How can they determine if it's home use or business use?
So you base that off of what percentage are you using, from your
business and what I'm
and
using on Netflix?
Correct. Even just like your cell phone. That is why personally I will say that I have a business phone and then I have a personal number, so I can write off my business phone and we know we get a lot of calls or text messages, and we use our phones for a lot. Other things that are like write-offs, for example, if you have subscribed to Canva, or you're using Canva, so you can write Canva off. Sometimes we use DocuSign. DocuSign also has a subscription. There's a lot of people who use, I don't know, Grizzy Leads or something like that. Any subscription that you have that you're using for work purposes, you can write off.
And is there any tips you can give your fellow realtors on how to handle their commissions? Because, as you know, we don't get anything deducted. We get 100% of what we make. How will you tell people or agents to handle their commissions?
So there's different ways that people want to, if you know that you're going to pay back at the end of the year, right? If you are one of those agents that always kills it, and it's just you're going to have, or you have no you're going to pay back. You can pay quarterly online. You can make an account on the IRS website, and you can pay quarterly. Some people still mail off, but you could pay quarterly online. One of my biggest things that I say is, you want to save in a different account. You should always have, this is my personal bank account, this is my business bank account, and this is my tax account. And when you get your commission, you should pay yourself and put it into your personal, and then you should save, for your tax purposes. That way you always know, this is what are my business expenses and these are my personal expenses, and you don't mix both.
And I know I get this question a lot. Would you recommend for them to use their social or to form an LLC for their business as a realtor? What's your take on that?
I personally think that this is personal, right? That they should create an LLC. Personally, I have an LLC. I can help you create an LLC. Do I charge? Yes, that's another thing that I can do, because I can do that through my tax business and help.
So you can help people open LLCs. Oh, perfect.
So I personally think that you should, because when you open up with that LLC, you will get an EIN number, which with that EIN number you take to the bank, and you can open up an account,
business account,
so that you have your personal account and you have your business account. And people think that because they have a DBA, you can do that with the bank. It's not the same thing. The DBA is when they go to the tax office and they pay at $12-15, and you're doing business as. But getting an LLC is what helps you open up that business.
And
bank
also get
account,
protected,
and
right?
then get protected, and then get credit with your business. I mean, your business can get credit, and then you can, that's a different thing, but have things under your business name and not just your name as a person. So,
And as a business owner, can you explain a little bit about travel expenses? What can I, like when I travel to, I don't know, a conference in Cancun, real estate conference, can I deduct it? Or what are the rules? What are the rules on
okay,
traveling?
So if it is for work and work purposes, only the days that you are there for work. So let's say that you travel to Las Vegas, right? And it's in the United States, you're flying there, you're going there for business purposes, and you're there Monday through Wednesday. You can write off the flight, you can write off the hotel, you can write off the meals, but you have to have proof that there was a real estate convention or whatever.
What's enough proof?
Registration.
You have to register for the class.
Will a flyer be enough?
No. I mean,
look.
I know because I do conferences. So.
Yeah.
Look, I would really tell you, no. Always remember that if you want me to be lenient as a tax preparer, the IRS is not going to be lenient when they come to audit you, okay? So the more proof, the better. You registered, you have proof that it was for real estate, that it was for your business, and that you were there just for business purposes, right? So taxi, if you use a taxi, if you use Uber while you're there, if you're going from your hotel to where the conference is at, I mean, those types of things.
Okay, you mentioned audit. If I get audited or someone gets audited, is there anything you can tell us to help us get over that?
Pray.
That's the best thing. I agree.
I mean, the thing is that don't expect them to be nice to you, and don't expect them to believe anything that comes out of your mouth.
But if it's someone,
because they're there to prove you wrong. Right? I mean, there's a reason that they're there. Something that either
they saw
that, and sometimes I'm gonna be very honest, not it's because what you put on there, but because the tax preparer has done something in the past. So it can go both ways.
Every single customer they have.
Correct.
So if it's a client of yours and for whatever reason they get audited, are you there behind them, helping them through the whole process, or?
No, so I will help them if they don't have the forms that we filled out and the proof that they gave me and those types of things, right? I will give you that. But the IRS, for the most part, does not allow me to be in there with you. I can give you everything that we have filled out and have submitted, right? But this is your tax return, Miguel Gutierrez. You have to keep track for at least 3 to 5 years back of what it is that you are submitting to the IRS.
So they can go back 5 years? Wow.
It depends what they're looking for. Sometimes they go further back, but you should have proof for at least, you need to hold on to your information for at least 5 years.
Okay.
That's just a good rule of thumb.
I would be concerned if I go to a taxpayer and they say, oh yeah, you can write it off.
Whatever you want.
Whatever you want. That's a red flag for me.
I'm going to say this, right? I have somebody on my Facebook, and I had taken a screenshot because I was going to, show it to you. But somebody on my, one of my friends on Facebook posted, hey, anybody know a tax preparer? Because the person I did my taxes with last year, is being audited for fraud, and my tax return is on hold. And, so tax preparers, I mean, they're
on the run.
I mean, so you do need to know who you're going to, what they're doing, and you need to know as the client. Like for that person who asked me about the electronic vehicle, I really told them, you need to ask her, why did she do that? because now you're kind of gonna be, you kind of have like a little dot. I already say, like, you have a little
red flag
stain on yourself because you took that credit, and why were you trying to take that credit? So, you know, you really want to think about that, because was that something you knew that tax preparer was doing for you so you could get more money, or were you not aware of it?
Yeah.
So, and plus, not only that, tax preparers, and I'm just speaking in general, but you know, it depends how many forms they fill out, and that they're going by that, you know, to charge you. So did she charge you for filling out that form and then you didn't even get that credit?
Yeah.
Awesome. I think it was great information. So again, if somebody wants to get a hold of you for taxes or real estate, what is your phone number? How can they get a hold of you?
951-7300.
832-951-7300.
Corin Lopez.
Corin Lopez. ¿Alguna otra pregunta?
No, this was great information. Please share this. Also look for Miguel on YouTube as Miguel Gutierrez Broker. And this is reliable information. Miguel has managed to actually have a great team, and they have great expertise. So I think that Corin has actually presented us with a lot of valid information, and
I agree.
This is the time to start doing your taxes.
Well, muchas gracias,
Or
Corin.
preparing to save to buy a home.
To buy a home
Yes.
for their down payment. We have great agents here at Innova. If you any other agents that are looking to make a move, give us a call, 713-480-9581. I just want to say thank you for joining us. Subscribe, share. We'll be having good podcasts in the next couple of weeks. Keep in tune, and thank you again.
Thank you, guys.
Goodbye.